This is the GTN Show.
It is, and this week we've got the ITW World Series kicking off with some extremely fast run splits, and we also spotted some current and ex-Ironman athletes doing pretty well over the marathon distance.
Yes, and we did also notice a quite exciting announcement from Sebastian Kienle with his new bike and bike setup, which has got us chatting here at GTN. Okay, Fraser, you know how much I love my bikes, I love my tech. Did you notice over the weekend Sebastian Kienle talking through his brand new bike?
I did, Mark, and I'm guessing what you're really noticing in that is he's using the SRAM Axis group set on that Scott Plasma, isn't he?
Yeah, very nice indeed. But did you notice, obviously, he had a one-by setup, so he's gone for a single chainring setup on the front, removing that front mech, which he claims is for aerodynamics and for weight. But interestingly, he's gone for a quart power meter, which is actually something Sebi doesn't normally ride with. And again, he claims this is for his coach to analyze his data rather than for himself. He did specifically say his coach, so that's interesting in itself. And yeah, I mean, I like all of this. I'm a big fan of it, of one by. I think it's a great move. I love analyzing data, so it's a big thumbs up from me.
I am sensing a but here, Mark.
Yeah, there is a little bit of but. And I know that sounds really odd because this is all potentially making him faster, which is what we're all striving for. That's what R&D is all about, research and development. That's why the brands are developing all these products and releasing them. But I'm just wary that we don't have any rules or regulations within triathlon that regulate the designs of the bikes, the weights of the bikes, our positions on the bikes. And maybe it's time we started going down that road.
I do hear you on this, Mark, because cycling, we've got the UCI. The UCI regulate all these things that you just chatted about there. They reference how far forward a saddle can be, referencing the bottom bracket on a rider's bike, for example. They talk about the geometries and frame specifics that they have to adhere to on the bikes they race on. They also, they've been relaxed, to be fair, of recent.
They have, yeah.
Haven't they? But they also have regulations about the weight that those bikes have to be. So there is an awful lot that perhaps we could learn from in the UCIs.
Absolutely, all whilst I guess on the triathlon side, they are just pushing the designs. I mean, can you remember we've had the Diamondback Andean, which really turns some heads, obviously the P5X. I love all of this, and I like the fact that it allows brands, well, it just gives them the freedom to do what they like. The sky's the limit in terms of research development. They try to just literally make the fastest bike possible, which really separates us from cycling. And I guess that's what has attracted the brands to invest in triathlon a little bit.
It has, and I guess results do tend to show this now, actually, Mark. And we've got a good example because Julie Moss, who many of you will be familiar with that name, she was famous for her crawl across the line in Kona in 1982. Well, now Julie, as a 60-year-old, is trying to beat the time that she set then as a 23-year-old professional athlete, which is kind of mad because she is 60. She has actually already beaten this time. She did it at the 2017 North American Ironman Championships, but she wants to try and do it on the Big Island again. And she says that this is all entirely possible because of her state-of-the-art, thousands of dollars worth bike, her excellent shoes and apparel and other equipment that she's actually given by sponsors. There is obviously an awful lot of hard work, good training that's going in from Julie too, to be fair, but nonetheless, this equipment is definitely helping.
Yeah, which is, I mean, that's an incredible story. And as much as that's great, it kind of also pains me to say, I mean, do we maybe need to bring in regulations though before we start riding spaceships at our next local triathlon? Yeah. Do we need to bring in some more regulations into triathlon? And what would you say?
I'm a bit torn on it too, to be fair, because I love the fact that we're different from the cycling world.
I'm absolutely the same, and that's why we'd love to ask you guys. So, do you think we should bring in more regulations to triathlon, similarly to cycling with the UCI rules? Maybe not quite so harsh, but anyway, it's a simple yes or no. Just click up here.
Now, that brings us on to last week's poll where Heather asked you, can having a baby be an advantage to an athlete?
Yeah, and this one is extremely close because 49% of you said no and 51% of you said yes. It can't get much closer than that, can it? Well, now for the triathlon news, and this week we're going to kickstart with a couple of new events to add to the triathlon calendar. The first one is the Triathlon World Series, which is a new kind of triathlon. It takes place over 3 days. Swim on one day, bike on the next, and then run on the final day. And then you add together your times from each day for your overall time.
It's not really a triathlon, Mark.
Well, I guess it still attracts triathletes because you've got to be able to swim, bike and run. And the idea is you'll take your times from the swim and the bike, and then they'll stagger the run depending on where your times and the placings are from those first couple of days.
So first across the line, win.
Exactly, making it quite a spectator-friendly event. And it's actually, as I suggest, it's a World Series, so it's taking place in Portugal to start off with, but they've also got on the radar Brazil, America, Canada, South Africa, and various other places, so yeah, watch this space.
Yeah, I mean, it's always great to hear of new stuff that's coming along, so let's hope it kicks off and goes well.
Yeah, I understand you've got a new one for us.
I do. On that note, there's a new European long distance series, which is going to be called Spirit Multisport. And it's co-founded by 2012 London Olympic champion Nicholas Sprig, which is interesting in itself, I guess. So anyway, this is a new event series, and I'm going to read here. There's 4 events, 4 different countries, all in Europe. We've got Triathlon Porto Colom in Mallorca, Chiemsee Triathlon Germany, Triathlon Alpe d'Huez, which is in France, and the Vorarlberg Triathlon in Austria. They're all roughly a middle distance race. Porto Colom is a little bit shorter, with a 1K swim and a 10K run. So
but a hilly bike.
Yeah, so just different sort of stuff in there, and yeah, I just think it's interesting.
That sounds really cool, and a very iconic event thrown in with Alpe d'Huez. Well, we've also got some quite exciting news, and this is in the way of sponsorship for an athlete, and that is Josh Amberger, as he's just announced his signing to Zone 3 wetsuits. And I wonder whether it's triathlon apparel. They talked about wetsuits, but yeah, that's quite exciting to sign, well, a triathlete of his pedigree, but particularly his swimming, having led out at Kona for the last 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine his ticket's pretty red hot for the wetsuit companies to try. I mean, he's pretty much a sure foot to get out of the water first in most races he ever does.
And he's strong on the bike, so it's not like he's just out of the water, then he disappears from the rest of the race. He's really at the, in the limelight. Well, moving on now, we've got another athlete, and that is Tyler Butterfield doing some pretty special stuff over in Japan.
Yeah, now this is really interesting. And Tyler, last year, if we go back to 2018, did the Commonwealth Games marathon, as well as doing the triathlon as well, actually, which was pretty impressive. And he ran 2:26, I think, or thereabouts, fast time. Anyway, now this year he has done that same thing again and has targeted a marathon which is out in Japan. He's gone there with a good buddy of his, an ex-Ironman and Olympic distance athlete too, Brad Calafell.
Commonwealth Games champion from back in the day.
Absolutely. They've done some really fast times, I would say, haven't they, Mark?
Yeah, I mean, let's read them out actually, because I don't want to do them any injustice here. So we've got Tyler Butterfield's time of 2:21:47, and Brad Carlefeld's time was 2 hours 23 and 15 seconds.
It's fast running.
That is really fast.
When you're still, I mean, Brad's retired, to be fair, but he's not long retired from triathlon. And Tyler, as far as I'm aware, I don't think I've missed anything. He's still racing triathlon, so there's biking.
And I quite liked Tyler's comment here. He said he took 8 gels on throughout that marathon, which, I mean, that's good fueling, but that is a lot actually, I'd imagine. But on the flip side, Brad only had 1 gel, which I'd almost say is a little bit too little. But Tyler has said, well, watch this space for Brad, because
room for improvement.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, really cool stuff for them.
Yeah, well, hats off, guys. Fast running. Now this is our new feature, Transition Challenge, which we're quite excited about, and we hope that you guys will get involved and get out there and time your transitions, be that T1 or T2. Now I started things last week, Mark had the stopwatch, I was jumping out of the pool, seeing how quick I could get my wetsuit off and replicating a T1.
Yeah, and the idea is, literally you can perform this at your local swimming pool or even at home. You don't need the water there, although it is granted a little bit easier with the water. Literally start the stopwatch as soon as you start taking the wetsuit off, or just film yourself and you can take the time after. But we'd love you guys to start practicing and sending those videos into us, because it's just good fun at the end of the day.
And practice.
Yeah, now Fraser, what time did you do?
Now let me think about this, Mark. I think it was not that 17 seconds.
Okay, yeah. Well, let's just see how I did.
Let's go. Okay, here we go.
Okay, ready?
No, we're going. You get that wetsuit off. Get those arms off. Sticky. It's tricky, that, isn't it? Oh, rapid. Oh, look at that. Done. 13.5.
Okay, Fraser, it's all right. Don't worry about it, mate.
Yeah, look, I used to be quite good at transitions.
To be fair, it's been a long time since you've done ITU racing, isn't it?
It actually has, thanks.
And it was a new wetsuit, and you know,
a very good one though.
Yeah, and we weren't in the water that long, so you didn't get that much water in you. And,
yes, enough of that. It was a bad transition.
Yeah, it was pretty bad, wasn't it? But anyway, yeah, like we said, please do keep sending them in using our photo uploader, and yeah, we would like to get some of your videos up on the show too. Well, now time for the caption competition, and we'll start with last week's photo, which was from the indoor triathlon in Levant in France. And well, yeah, we had a little bit of a mishap going on in this dive.
Yeah, all sorts of stuff going on there, but I mean, it was probably a pretty frantic race, to be fair, I can imagine.
Yeah, definitely. Some good captions coming in from you guys. Christopher Borman said, following this downward dog, I'll show them my doggy paddle.
Yeah, quite good. Second one we've got is from CS, whose caption is, Fraser's diving students in action again.
See, Fraser doesn't understand this, do you?
I'm loath to understand it. I understand my diving isn't great. Heather's pointed it out numerous occasions.
Oh, it's fine. I feel like we're picking on you today. I'm really sorry.
Fine. My diving isn't great.
All right, well, the winner though is Morton, and said, hope no one noticed that my little toe being off to the side again. Now, I quite like this one because it's like, there's so much going wrong with the dive, and they're just picking up on their
I think it's the last thing anybody noticed.
Well, Morton, you are the winner of the cap. So please do get in touch over Facebook and we'll send one out to you. But now for this week's caption comp photo, and it's another dive, but this one comes from Abu Dhabi, and it's just, I just love the fact it's just like relaxed, almost just like.
I'd love to know how that dive ended up. Like another two or three pictures further down the frame would have been good to see.
Just hovering off the ground like a plank. I don't know, it's great. Well, yeah, please do drop your captions in the comment section below.
Now then, on to the race news, and this weekend we had the return of the ITW WTS Series and back to familiar surroundings for the opening series event at Abu Dhabi in the opulent surroundings of the Yas Marina F1 motor racing.
It was very exciting last year as well.
It really was, yeah. Lots of crashes.
A lot drier this year though.
Thankfully. Now, talking about dry, on the opening leg of the race, the swim, we had usual proceedings for one of these types of races. Richard Varga from Slovakia leading out the water in front of Henry Schoeman from South Africa, Vincent Louis from France, and this trio really pushed on. But perhaps more tellingly, back in the pack, we only had 25 seconds to wait where we got the young British athlete Alex Yee coming out of the water. Now I say this because only 2 or 3 weeks ago he won his debut ITU race at the admittedly lower level of World Cup in Cape Town, but he did so with an absolutely blisteringly fast 5K run leg. So it would be interesting to see how he was going to do given he wasn't that far back, and he was in really good company coming out of T1 with powerhouses like Christian Blumenfeld from Norway and Richard Murray from South Africa. And as we would have expected, the whole field came together, probably with the diesel engines of those guys pulling it all back together. Only question being, would Alex Yee have enough in the tank at this higher WTS level?
Well, it was actually Hayden Wild of New Zealand that kind of had the gap to start off with. It was almost like he was wearing pyro pedals.
It did look like that.
It was a very, very fast transition in T2. He was away, had quite a gap for us a significant amount of time, and I think it was around 3 kilometers in that he was actually passed, and that was by Alex Yee and Mario Mola, running almost shoulder to shoulder. And well, it came down to basically within the last kilometer actually. Mario Mola, I guess a bit of experience and you know, that strength off the bike, managed to push ahead and drop Alex Yee, but he still hung on for an incredible second place. And then Fernando Alaza finished the podium out with 3rd. But I actually thought this was really interesting because I've just done a little bit of maths here, Fraser. So Alex Yee's 5K time there was 14:07.
Yep.
Would you like to know how fast that is?
Pretty fast.
That's a pace of 2 minutes 49 per kilometer. That's a speed of 21.3 kilometers per hour.
You guys try putting that to your treadmill session the next time you
Well, I got one better actually, Fraser, because I actually looked at his 5K PB, which is legitimate, which is, what is it, 13:34?
Yeah,
that's going some. That's 2:43 per kilometre, 22.1 kilometres per hour.
I dare you to find a treadmill that goes that fast.
Try that out, yeah. Well, now, anyway, let's move on to the women's though, because this is actually slightly different. We had a breakaway group of 6 women coming out of the swim. That included Taylor Spivey, Zephyras and Taylor Knibb, and including Jess Learmonth. And they actually stayed away. So this is a much easier race to report, actually.
Yeah, I mean, much like the, I want to say the template for women's racing that we've been seeing over the last few WTS almost seasons. You've got breakaway athletes out of the swim, pushing hard on the bike. Flora Duffy made it her mark, didn't she? But Katie Zaferes is really managing to capitalise on this now, I think, isn't she? And really, she just, like a bat out of hell, really, on T2, and just took that 5K to town and actually posted the fastest 5K split of the whole race, comfortably taking the win, over 30 seconds clear of second place athlete, wasn't she?
Yeah, which is Taylor Spivey, and then rounding out the podium was Jess Learmonth. Well, now over to Ironman 70.3 Baloche, and in the women's race, it was basically a 3-horse affair from the start, and the finishing positions were in 3rd place, Kelsey Withrow, and in 2nd, it was Romina Palacio, and in 1st, it was Hayley Chura.
And on the men's side of things, we had Justin Metzer from the US taking 3rd, we had Tim Ria from Australia in 2nd, and for the win was the Brazilian athlete Santiago Ascenso.
Well, now it's time to take a look through some of the photos that you have sent in to us, and we've got some nice bike photos this week.
I do like a nice bike photo, Mark.
Well, this first one is sent in by Miles Fish, and they are out on their Boardman Road bike in Holyhead in Anglesey, and they said that this is their first ride after a week skiing and managed a 45-second PB up their KOM segment. And this is a very nice shot, isn't it?
Oh, it looks absolutely stunning. I mean, I've never been to that part of the world, but we'd like to go now after having seen it.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah, keep sending photos like that.
Next one is from Kobe, and he sent us a picture. I say he or she, but anyway, the 2013 Scott Foil is the bike in the picture. A beautiful looking location, Cocoa Beach in Florida. Not sure if it's the West Coast or the East Coast, but it's really nice, isn't it?
Yeah, and they said the Penn State Triathlon Club is training by the beach over spring break. So they decided to take a picture after their first group ride down there. So yeah, beautiful location for a triathlon.
Yeah, especially looking in the middle of our sort of freezing cold type of spring weather that we're getting here. Next picture rather comes from Antonio Garcia, Pain Cave picture, and they're just starting them younger and younger, aren't they?
It's cracking, isn't it? So they got their turbo set up with what I think is a specialised tarmac on it, or an alley, and then they've got their son also on a little turbo trainer beside them, and I think it's all fully rigged up, isn't it?
Well, got the front wheel props right up, and yeah, I mean, that's really cool. Although I'm not sure there's any, you couldn't have resistance.
No, the wheel can't be touching the...
But either way, it's still really cool, and it gets them practicing away, brilliant.
We're now moving on to something quite special here, and this one's sent in by Troy, and this is their Cervelo P5X, and also their kids bike, another kids one there, Giant Push, and this is from Hervey Bay in Australia.
And it's their sort of take on the flat Bruce, isn't it? Where everything gets laid out nicely from above, but a little bit differently, because this is not somebody getting ready to race. The description here is, my wife and I thought we would incorporate our triathlon lifestyles into our pregnancy announcement, so congratulations to you guys. The caption was, preparing for our next transition into 2019.
And I like on the race number,
yeah,
put the scan there on it. Fantastic.
Well,
we love stuff like that. So please do keep sending in your photos using our photo uploader in the description below.
Right, that's it. That's another show all done and dusted and in the bag. If you fancy watching a video about how to train for an Ironman in under 10 hours, well, you can get a video right here.
Yeah, and if you did like today's show, then do hit that thumbs up button and click on the globe to subscribe and see more videos from us. And if you'd like to go on over to the GTN shop and you get hold of some of our gear that we're wearing now, you can do that. And also, if you'd like to see our runner's knee video, then just click down here.